Hello, it's Liz. Welcome to Lunchtime with Liz. I'm glad you're here. Today is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to show you a technique. It might be considered maybe a little more advanced technique, but maybe some of you would enjoy that. So I'm not going to show you from beginning to end, but rather a technique, and let's see how this goes, okay? These are the cards that I've made over the last few days. You can get those a little bit closer to you. Okay, so I'm going to show you this technique here, what I did with that, and we'll go from there. Okay, so let's pull those aside. What I'm using are Stampin Blends. These are the Stampin Blends. I get asked on a regular basis the difference between the Stampin Blends, and let me show you here, and the regular Stampin' Write markers. Okay, these are the regular Stampin' Write markers. They're round. The Stampin Blends have flat sides. Okay, they are both double tipped. They both have a brush end and a pointed end. The Stampin' Write markers are water based. The Stampin' Blends are alcohol based. So there's different inks that you would use, like a black ink with it. These you would tend to use the StazOn ink for the regular Stampin' Write markers. The Stampin' Blends, you would use a Memento ink. Basically, again, one of those black inks is water-based and one is alcohol-based. Okay, these are great just to color. These will not blend. These will blend. These will not bleed through your paper, your cardstock when you're coloring. These will bleed through the paper, so make sure there's something underneath. Okay. The Stampin' Write markers, you will have like a real red, you'll have a cherry cobbler. In the Stampin' Write markers, you will have a light real red and a dark real red, and you'll have a light cherry cobbler and a dark cherry cobbler. So you'll have two shades of each of the colors. These are sold in all of the colors that we have in our catalog. These are sold in most, not all. Okay, so that just gives you a basic rundown of them. They both have their purposes. So when someone says, which do you recommend? Well, I guess it depends on what you want to get involved in and what you want to do. Okay, so I'm going to be using the Stampin' Blends today. Again, they're alcohol based. I'm going to be using Vellum Cardstock, and it comes in 8.5 by 11 sheets, just like the other cardstock. So Vellum Cardstock that you can see through. See that? And it is vellum. It's cardstock, so it's thicker than maybe like a regular vellum sheet that you would think of. I'm going to be using water painters, and they come 3 in a pack, and they're all different widths of the painter. I'm going to be using the skinniest one. I'm going to just use tissue, just a regular old tissue. I'll be using a heat gun and isopropyl alcohol. Let me show you. This you can just buy at CVS, Giant, Weiss, whatever grocery store you have in your area or pharmacy. When I first tried this, actually, I don't know, maybe even a year ago, I just heard isopropyl alcohol. So I went and grabbed it, and this is what I grabbed. I got home, it didn't work, I gave up, it wasn't working. Isn't that what we do? Sometimes we just give up when something doesn't work the first time. That's silly. This is 70%. I found out it needs to be a higher alcohol count. So you need 91% isopropyl alcohol. So it's actually good for first aid antiseptic too. So you know what? You got it on hand. It's in your cabinet at home, and you can use it in your craft room. Okay. So if you cut yourself, you're good, right? So you do not want this 70%. It might work for other things in your house, but not in the crafting room. So not 70%. You want the 91% isopropyl alcohol for this. Okay. All right. So these water painters, they unscrew. I don't know why. Do you remember we all learned righty tighty, lefty loosey? If you try to do this, I've had a number of customers. I've tried to open it, and it doesn't open. It's locked up. For whatever reason, this is the opposite. It's really hard to say righty tighty, lefty loosey as you're unscrewing the opposite direction. So unscrew the opposite direction. So it's righty loosey, right? So they do unscrew, but if you're not getting yours, try the opposite direction. And then you're going to fill it up over the sink with the isopropyl alcohol, which that I've done already. And then we're going to put the lid back on. And again, it's so hard to screw the opposite direction. But okay, so it's tight. So in these water painters, you can put water, or we're putting alcohol in them at this point, okay? On the side, there it says push, and that's where we're going to be squeezing on that spot to get the alcohol to come out the other end. All right, so let's try the first one. This is my vellum cardstock, and I'm going to keep a tissue nearby. And let's just try, let's do this one first. This is going to be real red. And I'm going to take real red, and I'm just coloring. You don't really want to go back and forth with these brush tips, so I'm going this way and picking up and picking up and picking up and picking up. Okay, till I kind of have like a blob. And then I'm going to take my water painter, and I'm squeezing. And this is alcohol in here, because these are alcohol inks. It's going to start reacting. You got a chemical reaction going on here. Okay, so I'm just lightly squeezing, and you can see the alcohol coming out, and you can see the ink reacting. Okay, and I'm going to set that down, and then we're going to take a heat gun. We don't want the heat gun super close to it like we're embossing something. I'm holding it up here. And so I'm going to start moving around. Just be patient as you're doing this, and try it. Try it again, try it again, try it again, try it again. You see how you can get it to move? And I don't feel like it moved enough. So you can reactivate everything. You can put more of the alcohol on and reactivate all of it. So I don't think I had enough of the alcohol on there, so we're just going to add more. And we're going to try again. And you just keep moving your heat gun around. And this is one of those things that's going to be a trial and error. You're never going to get two that are going to look the same. If you let it go dry to the very end, you're going to end up with a really dark blob. So when I get to where there's just a little bit left on there, then I'm just going to dab. Okay, look at here. If you let it go and dry to the very end, you end up with these little dark dots all over. And I didn't necessarily like that look. And then when you get to that part, you just do it again. Okay, we're going to go, let me make sure I have the right marker here. Okay, I'm going to add some more. And you just keep adding color. And it's something to play with. You're not going to get the same result every time. And the beauty of it is you can add alcohol and redo it each time, and it will just activate. Okay. And again, when you get down to just there's a little bit, dab it with your tissue so you don't end up with those dark blobs. And if you end up with a dark blob, like what I have right here, activate it again. And now those blobs are gone. Okay? Look at that. And then you can cut that out. You can take this and you can run it through with the cut and emboss machine and cut out shapes so that you end up with a design in that. And again, you just cut it down. But isn't that cool? All right, let me show you one where that's just using one color. Now I can take it and I'm going to add in another color. I'm going to add, this is, this is dark Blackberry Bliss. All right. Now I'm using the bullet tip on this one. it really is going to be a preference of which one you're going to be using. And I'm just coloring lots of color over here. Let me get rid of some of that other. Okay. And now I'm just, again, dropping alcohol all over it. And you want it fairly wet. And then we're going to dry it. Let it run together a little bit. You want to just keep moving your heat gun. And it can run into the other color. And again, before you get those little tiny blobs. And there you go. Okay, so you can do two colors right next to each other. All right. Now, I want to show you another idea. Okay, so that's this one here. All right, I used two different pinks on this one. Let me show you how I did this here with this love. Okay. Now that we have this done like that, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up a little bit so I don't have any excess. And it looks like kind of like bled in here, right? It's just ink. And then what I'm going to do is watch this. Now I'm going to bring this out. And I'm going to start making the L right in here. And when I put the alcohol right in that space, it's actually going to pick up. You could also use a Q-tip for this too. And you just want to use a tissue though. So if you want to be more exact with it, you could grab a Q-tip. Takes a little bit of time. But I'm just writing with the alcohol pens. All that's in here is the alcohol. And I'm just writing the letters and dabbing up the ink. Okay, so there's our L. And you can go back in and clean it up a little bit. Okay, let's do an O here. Put a little more alcohol in there. We're going to go back around with the O. And again, it's just a matter of just relaxing, playing around with it. It takes a little bit of time, but I think the effect is so worth it. Okay, there's our O. Let's get our V. Just do a little at a time. What do you think? Okay. And then there's our E. So I thought this was really neat, and I'm going to challenge you. If this is a little bit more than what you would normally do, give it a try. It doesn't necessarily need a ton of supplies, but if you need some vellum cardstock, you know where I am and how to order that. If you want to give the blender pens a try, if you have the blender pens already and you haven't used them much, pull it out and give this a try. The tissues and the isopropyl alcohol, just, you know, at your grocery store, at the pharmacy. And there we go. Okay, so there's the love, and that can be cut out. And I want to show you the difference between if you put it with white paper behind it. Okay, look at that. All right, so that's it. That's what I wanted to share with you today. So these are the 2 cards, and that was the technique I wanted to show you. Give it a try. I would love to see what you come up with. Talk with you later. Bye-bye.